Welcome back to Reddit Story Time. Today we have 4 incredible stories. Let's dive right in.
Story number 1. Karen called the cops on a single mom's legally parked car. Story number 1. We've all had that one neighbor who acts like they own the entire street. This one takes it to a whole new level. A single mom, taking care of her small children, an adult autistic child, and a disabled elderly mother, parked her car in front of her neighbor's house for a few days. Not because she wanted to. Because she was working on her garage and needed the driveway clear for a U-Haul. The car is registered, it runs perfectly, it's in great condition. It's not abandoned, it's not broken down, it's not an eyesore. It's a working vehicle belonging to a family that depends on it as their only mode of transportation. This neighbor knows all of this. She knows this is a single mom caring for 3 dependents. She knows this car is essential. And instead of doing what a normal human being would do, walking over and saying, "Hey, could you move your car when you get a chance?" She called the police. She tried to get the car towed. The storyteller found out because she discovered the towing notice. A notice trying to have her family's lifeline vehicle removed from a public street where she had every legal right to park. Public street, public parking spot, no law broken, no violation. Just a neighbor so entitled that she believes the street in front of her house is her personal property. Here's what makes this worse. If the Karen had simply asked, the mom would have moved it. She says so herself, she's too nice, she would have just done it to avoid conflict. But the neighbor didn't ask, she went nuclear. She tried to weaponize the police against a struggling family over a parking spot that wasn't even hers. This is peak Karen behavior. The assumption that public space is personal territory. The escalation straight to authorities without a single word of communication. The complete disregard for another person's circumstances. This single mom is keeping her family afloat, and her biggest obstacle isn't bills or logistics. It's the neighbor treating the curb like a deed.
And the verdict, instant Karen, public street, public parking. You don't own the curb.
Story number 2. The neighbor who sawed someone's tree in half for revenge. Story number 2. This is property line drama at its most unhinged. Picture this. You look out your window and see your neighbor has literally sawed off half of a tree, the half that was overhanging their property from the neighbor on the other side. Just took a saw and cut a living tree straight down the middle, right at the property line. Clean cut. Half a tree standing there like some kind of botanical crime scene. Now, our storyteller is watching this unfold and facing their own dilemma. Their neighbor, the same one who committed arboreal surgery, has palm trees that overhang into our storyteller's yard. Palm trees they despise. Palm trees they've repeatedly asked the neighbor to trim back. Repeatedly. As in, multiple requests that were completely ignored. So now they're sitting there watching a neighbor who just chainsaw massacred a tree over a property line, and they've got their own encroaching palm trees, and the question is burning. Do they return the favor? Do they saw half the palm trees off at the property line? Sometimes you have to get what you give to really feel the impact. Here's what's wild about property line tree disputes. In most places, you actually do have the legal right to trim branches that overhang your property up to the property line. But there's a big difference between hiring an arborist to professionally trim encroaching branches and grabbing a handsaw to commit tree vengeance. The first is exercising your rights. The second is starting a war. This neighborhood is a powder keg. You've got one neighbor already doing vigilante tree surgery. You've got another neighbor contemplating retaliation. The palm trees are the flashpoint, but the real issue is respect, or the complete lack of it. When you ask someone multiple times to maintain their trees and they ignore you, resentment builds. When you respond to that resentment with a chainsaw, you've created a cycle that only escalates. The answer isn't more tree violence. The answer is documentation, a certified letter, and possibly small claims court if the encroachment causes damage. But we all know that in neighbor disputes, logic is usually the first casualty.
And the verdict, everyone sucks here. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but ignored requests make people desperate.
Story number 3. Great Dane puppy left out in 21 degrees F with no shelter. What would you do? Story number 3. This one's different because it's not really about human conflict. It's about a helpless animal caught in a terrible situation and the moral dilemma of whether intervening makes you the bad neighbor. A person looks out their window and sees their neighbor's 8-month-old Great Dane puppy in a fenced backyard. The dad built the dog a house, except it's basically just shipping pallets nailed together. You can see straight through it. There's no insulation, no windbreak, no warmth. Here's why this matters. Great Danes are giant dogs, but they have almost no body fat and thin coats. They are not built for cold weather. They're basically massive, lean, short-haired dogs that feel the cold far more than a husky or a shepherd would. And right now, it's 35 degrees, wet and windy. And tonight, it's dropping to 21 degrees. 21. And this puppy is going to be outside in a see-through pallet fort. Our storyteller knows for a fact that these owners don't bring the dog inside or even put it in the garage when it's cold. They want to help. They're even willing to buy an XXXL dog coat for the puppy. But here's the dilemma. How do you approach your neighbors and essentially say you're bad dog owners without it blowing up? Offering the coat as a gift is a kindness wrapped in an accusation. Walking into their yard and putting the coat on the dog yourself is trespassing, well-intentioned trespassing, but trespassing nonetheless. Calling animal control might get the dog help, but will absolutely destroy any neighbor relationship permanently. This is one of those situations where there's no clean answer. The dog is suffering. The owners are either ignorant or indifferent, and the person who wants to help has to navigate the minefield of neighbor relations, while an animal's welfare hangs in the balance. The most diplomatic approach: bring over the coat as a friendly gift, frame it as I had an extra one, and thought your puppy might like it. Might work if the owners are just clueless. But if they're the type to leave a Great Dane in 21 degrees with a pallet shack, they might not care about a coat either. Sometimes being a good neighbor means doing the hard thing. And sometimes the hard thing is putting an animal's safety over social comfort.
And the verdict, reported, animal welfare trumps neighborly politeness every single time.
Story number 4, the creepy couple who sit in their car all day staring at us. Our final story, and this one is genuinely unsettling in a way that creeps under your skin. It's not loud, it's not violent, it's just wrong. A couple in their 30s moved into the house to the left of our storyteller, and for the past 2 weeks they've been doing something deeply strange. They sit in their car all day, from about 7 in the morning until midnight, sometimes later. Just sitting in the car, parked facing our storyteller's house. Our storyteller works from home. They see this every single day. Every time they walk outside, this couple is in the car watching. Every time they glance out the window, there they are, staring. The couple goes inside the house for maybe 2 or 3 hours a day and for the night. The rest of the time, in the car, watching. 2 straight weeks of this. Now, let's think about this rationally for a moment before the creep factor takes over completely. Maybe they're both unemployed and the car is their only private space away from each other or from something inside the house. Maybe they smoke and the car is where they do it. Maybe they have a home situation, a bad roommate, a family member, an unsafe environment, and the car is their sanctuary. But here's the thing. Even if the reason is completely innocent, the behavior is not. Sitting in a parked car facing someone else's house for 16 hours a day, every day for 2 weeks, and staring at them every time they go outside, that's not normal. That's not enjoying the car. That's surveillance behavior. Our storyteller says it's become deeply uncomfortable to even walk outside, knowing they're being watched. What do? You can't call the police over someone sitting in a legally parked car on a public street, but you can document them. You can install cameras. You can make a note of dates and times. And if the staring escalates, if they start following, photographing, or approaching, that documentation becomes critical. The scariest part of this story isn't any single moment. It's the accumulation. Day after day, the same car, the same position, the same staring. It's the kind of slow burn unease that makes you start locking doors you never locked before and checking windows before you walk past them. Sometimes the worst neighbors aren't the loud ones or the rude ones. They're the ones who just watch.
And the verdict, trust your gut, document everything, get cameras, and don't ignore creeping instincts.
That's all for today. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more. See you next time.